Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another writing video. I get a lot of requests for these and questions from the chat, from the comment section in the last videos. And one question that showed up quite a bit was, how do you get started? Tips for getting started on an idea. And that's a common problem or a common tension, stress for new writers. Even seasoned writers can have it sometimes. And you've got this idea in your head, and you know kind of generally what you want to do with it and stuff, but just starting, getting the draft started, where do you begin, how do you begin, and so forth. So I want to say two things about that. One of them is going to sound like it's going to put a lot of pressure on you. It's not meant to, because the second thing I'm going to say will take that pressure off. But beginnings to stories, to drafts, are incredibly important. Incredibly important. And there's something that you're going to have to return to and probably spend the most time on in terms of compared to any part of the draft, because this is your reader's first encounter with your work, with you as a writer sometimes, if they haven't read anything else. This is the preview pages they'll see on Amazon if they happen to do a preview or whatever. This is the first encounter with you and your work that slush readers will have, or publishers if you're sending it into a place. So it's incredibly important. It also sets the tone for the entire work. It sets the tone for the entire piece. If the beginning starts out pretty weak, it's possible that the rest of the draft could go strong, but you're always going to have that sort of bad taste in your mouth from the beginning, and there'll be that shadow hanging over it. So, and few people are going to keep on going, to that point. So the idea is that you want to have a good, strong opening that's strong in relation to your content and to the type of story that you're wanting to tell and to your style and all of that. It's something that you'll have to return to, revise, and revise. So that sounds like that's a lot of pressure. It's actually not, because since it is something that you're going to have to revise a lot, just getting started doesn't matter. You start with whatever crap you put down on the paper. Start with that. If you don't, you just don't know how to begin, or what words, or what grand thing, don't put any of that pressure on yourself to begin with. Because all of that, the greatness of the beginning, comes with the revision. Just put whatever crap down you need. It was a dark and stormy night. Start with whatever cliche you need to, just to get the ball rolling. Sometimes, depending on your writing style, you actually have to get writing for a page or two before you really realize, oh, that's what this story's about, or this whole scene right here was just kind of throat clearing. I really, it's better to start in this later scene, in medias res, and that kind of idea. So, that's in medias res means to start within the middle of the action, and that's commonly what you want to do, depending on what you write. But it's pretty across the board. It's a good idea because it immediately engages your reader with tension. You want to start in the middle of a scene. You do not want to start with a big exposition dump. You don't want to start with a long description. Classic literature did that in certain days, but that's gone. Readers don't abide by any of that now. When I teach The Last of the Mohicans, for example, I tell them, okay, just do what you can to get past the sweeping, grand, chapter-long description of the forest and the land and everything like that. That's good stuff to have. You do need to have descriptions and whatnot. And it's, certain genres are more appropriate for it than others, but you do not want to start with it in today's market. Just going to say that, in today's market. Everybody always wants to argue with me on these points. Well, I like stuff like that. Well, you and two other people who like stuff like that will buy your work. Enjoy that, So I'm talking about the market, and if you want to sell stuff, you've got to alter and adapt your style, not to betray who you are, or betray what your own taste and style is as a writer, but you've got to be smart, you got to be flexible. So you start wherever you start, and then you figure out later where the proper start of the story is. Now, sometimes it can be the opposite. Sometimes the beginning of a story is just that's the inspiration that you had when you first thought of the story, and that's fine. That's great. In those cases, I find when that's happened to me, that I usually have to struggle quite a bit where to go after that start. I'll think of a great opening that's mysterious and attention-getting, and it's really going to sink people in and arrest their attention, but where do I go from there? How do I develop it? That usually takes some time. So something's going to take some time on your draft. And if it's your beginning, that's good. You'll get that out of the way. And you start wherever you need to start. In fact, if you're really stressed about it, because some people can have so much anxiety between their idea and just getting some words on the paper or the screen, make a joke of it. go ahead and start with a cliche. See, think about the stupidest cliche, the most ridiculous cliche you could start a story with. Like I said, it was a dark and stormy night, or even write once upon a time. Whatever you need to just to get the words on the page, the words on the screen. Go with that. That's ways to get over the anxiety. Now, going back to pointers of what is supposed to be a good, opener, once you're revising and whatnot, you do have to start with the in medias res thing. Like I said, that's a good idea, starting within the middle of the action. Now, it's a common temptation and a tendency for a lot of writers to start in the middle of a scene, and they get maybe a page or two into the scene, if that, before their exposition dump comes. I'm reading a novel right now, which is a pretty solid novel once you get into it, but the beginning was, we start in a scene, and that's great, but the guy's washing dishes and talking or whatever, and then we go into his interiority, and then we go, he had been a police officer for so long, and he did this, and then of course when he moved back here, and when he did this, stop. That's a temptation, and it's going to kill your reader's interest and kill your reader's momentum. Not that you don't need exposition, you do, but the more you can show exposition, and the less you can tell it, the better. So if you can get across some stuff like that in dialogue, that's great, as long as the dialogue doesn't seem contrived just to get that piece of information across. It's a delicate balance. It's a delicate craft of writing. I know it seems like it's almost impossible, but that's why I say no one just can, I have an idea, I'm going to be a writer. No, you've got to work at it. You've got to practice it. So the expositions, has to be careful. When you do, there's times for exposition, but you can't dump it. You can't have a ton of it on there. Weave it into the action as much as possible. And then oftentimes you don't need as much exposition as you think you do. Sometimes it can be the reverse, depending on your writing style. Some writers don't give the readers enough information and kind of leave them floundering for what the hell's going on, because you understand what you meant to write in your head, but the readers don't, so you might not even see it reading it over in a second draft. But oftentimes we give too much information, and you step back and think. This is one thing that I call Stephen King out for a lot of is looking at his drafts. I think, okay, this is good. You gave us a lot of background information on this peripheral character. Did we really need to know where that character went to school? Did we really need to know where that that kind of stuff? So and I'm not picking on Stephen King because he does a lot of glorious things so well that I'll be talking about in my It book study, which is coming this week, Friday night. So be prepared for that. And yep, that's all for this. If you have more questions, further questions about how to start a draft, or other questions about writing, please put them in the comment section below. I'm happy to address them. And as in the other videos, we're a community of writers here, those who are watching these videos and seeking them out. So go ahead and put your advice in the comment section below, and your questions or your thoughts or ideas on it. You're welcome to do so. And I will have the It book study starting, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do it as a live stream or just a video, me recording it. I think I'm going to start trying it as a live stream, but not enough people seem interested in actually reading along and being in the live stream, which is fine. I'm fine doing it as a video, and eventually people out there will get a swift kick in the ass and realize that, reading's a good thing and they can actually make time to do it. So anyway, that's all for now. Keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Keep enjoying and digging deeper into writing, discovering what kind of writer you are, and playing with the different ideas. Keep practicing. And thanks for watching.